last night, lost a couple of hits.
He did, and a stolen base. So he was hitting 317, got a couple hits, and he's still hitting 317. And Johnson pours across a 94-mile-an-hour fastball for a strike. Lopez having a nice start to his season, picking up where he left off last year at the end of the year with the St. Louis Cardinals.
We talked about it briefly last night, a good pickup for Arizona.
Well, they needed to replace Orlando Hudson, and they get a guy that can play second base and play it well and can also move around the infield. He came up as a shortstop.
He was an all-star shortstop.
Lake Brantley High School. Ooh, outside corner. Any questions that anybody had about Josh Johnson's velocity and location answered on a 97-mile-an-hour fastball.
Okay, questions answered on the first hitter. Good location, good stuff. He threw one changeup and then spotted that last fastball right on the outside corner.
Here is Gerardo Parra. Man, that's a tough name to pronounce. Johnson misses outside. Good young player, 22 years old, out of Venezuela.
He was off to a tremendous start in Double-A. He adds a little dimension, more speed to the lineup for the Diamondbacks.
He's not a home run hitter. He hasn't hit a lot of home runs in the minor leagues. He did homer on his first at bat in the big leagues, and he can't catch up to that fastball. He was on the World Baseball Classic team with Venezuela. And he smacks it foul. You almost have to go back to last night and say he was 1 for 2, though it didn't count.
Yeah, Parra was hitting over 360 in Double-A before his call-up.
2-2. Fastball sliced into left field, a base hit. Coughlin picks it up. And so the Diamondbacks have a runner aboard with rain all over the place here in South Florida. A small crowd here at Landshark Stadium.
And I think also, Rich, as we spoke of last night, because of the rain in the area, both managers are going to approach this game early in the game a little differently. Try to get that run quickly, as the Marlins were able to do last night.
Boy, the Marlins were 5 outs away from a win last night. If the rain had just held for another 15 minutes, the Marlins might have won that game. There's a swing and a miss. Because once the team that is trailing bats 5 times, it becomes an official game. If rain stops it from that point on, the team that's ahead would win the game. As we saw last night, it rained so hard that had it been the 6th inning when they stopped it last night, they would not have restarted the game.
No, it continued to rain. I don't know how long, probably most of the night.
Our Geico quote comes courtesy of Ricky Nolasco. Ricky's quote: "You got to do what you can do to grind it out as long as you can, but you got to be safe and not hurt guys. The field was pretty bad. There's nothing you can do about that."
Last night's Arizona starter Dan Herron was telling the Diamondbacks analyst Mark Grace, longtime terrific ball player, it's one of the worst conditions that he'd ever pitched under, as far as the mound and the rain.
That's why when you look at Nolasco's effort last night, and he did walk a couple in that 4th inning, and as you pointed out, Diamondbacks had a couple of base runners on in every inning. It's really hard to gauge a guy's performance under those conditions. The one thing we can certainly do, and now that we've seen the video, is ask Chris Coughlin if it's tougher to hit with rain in your face or bugs in your face. The 1-2 pitch. Struck him out. Down goes Upton.
Oh, he's got the fastball live. moving. 96, 97 we've seen early on. And just blew that one by Justin Upton. One start in his career against the Diamondbacks. It was back in '06. 7 innings, gave up just 2 hits and no runs.
Stephen Drew takes a fastball high. Stephen Drew, we are not accustomed to seeing in this cleanup spot. But certainly he had numbers last year. Big numbers. Lots of doubles. 44. 11 triples. And 21 homers. In the air, there's Coghlan. Nothing in his face. And he makes the catch. We are underway. Up. Looks this way. Bonifacio, Coghlan, Hanley, Cantu, Baker, Ugla, Hermida, Ross, and Johnson. And that's what a John Garland looks like for you National League fans.
You talk about a workhorse since 2002, 10th most amount of innings pitched in the major leagues. But all of his time prior to this year spent in the American League.
Bonifacio runs up, slaps at it, and fouls it back. As we told you last night, Bonifacio, of course, very familiar with most of the Diamondbacks. He came up in the Diamondbacks organization before he was traded to Washington last year for John Rausch, who is in the D-backs bullpen. Garland misses inside.
I talked to A.J. Hinch, their new manager, who had been Vice President of Player Development. And he said yesterday when he saw Bonifacio, he said that was the biggest hug he got all day from Bonifacio, who knows him well.
Garland misses down low. Bonifacio runs the count to 3-1. Marlins would love to get Bonifacio on. Last night he was 1 for 2, but of course it didn't count. And he's aboard.
A few little tweaks defensively for the Diamondbacks in this one tonight, with Burns, Parra, and Upton. Parra in center field tonight. Around the infield, Augie Ojeda's at third. Mark Reynolds making just his second career start at first base. And behind the plate is Chris Snyder.
Coghlan now. He takes a fastball for a strike. I'm going to throw out our first in-game email.
All right.
And it's from our buddy Conk the caveman, who's an angry caveman. I'm absolutely infuriated by the fact that the stats from last night's game were erased. Coughlin hit his first triple. Velasco looked decent. Cantu had another RBI.
Conk, those are the rules, Conk.
I'm just annoyed that the stats will not count anymore. Do you think in the future Major League Baseball will change the rule for rained out games? For example, picking up whenever the game was, no matter what part of the game it is. I would like to see this, and I'm sure everyone else would too. It's cold here in Alaska.
Well, then I think that email should be directed to Bud Selig and not to us.
but Conk doesn't have Bud's email address.
Okay.
Nor do we. Coughlin smacks that one to center field. Parra is there, makes the catch, and Bonifacio has to retreat. Just gets back in time. Boy, Coughlin not only loses a triple from last night, but he hits one absolutely right on the screws.
Yeah, he loses a bullet right there. Hit that ball hard out to Parra. Hit it so well that it carried to the center fielder. Remember the game last night, Gerardo Parra was in left field. Talked about Garland, all of his career in the American League, most of it with the White Sox, just last year with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. But he had some big years with the White Sox.
So Bonifacio with his 7 stolen bases is over there at first. But remember, a different catcher behind the plate in this one. It's Chris Snyder, who was a good one. Whoa. Leaning a bit. There's a look at Snyder.
We talk about certain center fielders. Parra is playing deep. So he's telling us he can come in on a ball better than he can go back on a ball.
Garland throws a strike. Hanley comes in hitting a .343. He was 0 for 2 before everything got washed out last night.
Yeah, it's one of those games, if you're 0 for, okay, you don't worry about it too much. If you had a couple of knocks, or in Coughlin's case, his first career triple, it's a little more disconcerting.
Yeah, you sit at your locker and you think, man, there go my 2 hits. Here's the 0-1. Hanley to left field, and Burns is out there. He makes the catch.
Well, Burns was playing deep as well. So 2 outs have been 2 hard-hit balls.
It's good to see Eric Burns back. We didn't see a whole lot of him last year. He had hamstring issues on both hamstrings.
Yeah, he missed a lot of the season last year. He's healthy now, getting a lot more playing time. Hey, it's about time now Bonifacio thinks about getting to scoring position for Jorge Cantu.
He's running out of outs at this point. There's 2 outs. Coughlin hit one well. Hanley hits one well. And Bonifacio's back. Mark Reynolds over there at first base.
Yeah, we mentioned this is only his 2nd career start at first base.
He sat in front of his locker last night and said, thank goodness, because he had a throwing error and he struck out twice. One and 0 to Cantu. Evan in Plantation wants to know, what would happen if a player were ejected for something in a game like last night? Would Major League Baseball still be able to suspend or fine them, even though it actually didn't happen? I think you'd still get fined and suspended.
It's a good question, though. But you're right, I agree with you. Well, Garland is trying to keep Bonifacio close because he knows he's thinking about getting into scoring position too.
Garland fully aware that it's Email Tuesday. Not running, and Cantu pops it up. Drew and Burns. Mr. Burns makes the catch. We're going to the 2nd, scoreless. Mark Reynolds, Eric Burns, Chris Snyder scheduled to appear in the second. This is Reynolds. As we told you last night, he punched out twice. Takes a breaking ball for a strike. Last year he set the major league record for strikeouts in a season with 204.
Nice way for Josh Johnson to start this inning, establishing his slider. Threw another one and missed, but the first one a nice strike to Reynolds. He threw a lot of fastballs in the first inning.
And believe it or not, Reynolds is on pace to break last year's record. 47 strikeouts already this year. This is game 36 for him. Although the 2 punch outs he lost last night might have knocked him off that pace. Johnson misses. It's 3-1. A lot of early emails about last night's game and the rain delay. Good fastball. One guy wondering, in last year's World Series, a game was stopped by rain and they continued from the same inning and score. So why wouldn't they do that with a regular season game? Swing and a miss. So Reynolds, as he did last night, punches out. And here comes Eric Burns. Well, remember last year, Bud Selig and Major League Baseball present at that game and decided to stop the game rather than try to play through that weather.
Because of the conditions.
And because it was a World Series game. And when that series was over, Major League Baseball changed that rule. So in the postseason now, once a game starts, it will be picked up and continued from that point on.
Yeah, they made that ruling after that, and I think a good rule, especially in postseason games of that magnitude and importance. And I also like the ruling that came out the other day that World Series games, postseason games, are going to be starting before 8 o'clock Eastern time now.
I'm with you on that one. Eric Burns lashes that one into right center field. Hermida cuts it off. Burns is a lot of fun to watch play. He's a guy that runs into walls, through walls, steals bases. Last year he was a shadow of his usual self, but back in 2007 he was a holy terror. Hit 286, drove in 83, and stole 50 bases.
And played in 160 games, and last year just 52 games.
So he's a threat to run, and he's at first. Here's Snyder. Seth in Miami emails, I have tickets to the game tomorrow. How does that work with the doubleheader? Can I come early to watch the end of last night's game? Or it's not the end, but it's a whole new game. And then watch the whole third game. But Seth, you're just confusing all of us. Yeah, if you've got a ticket for, I guess, last night or tomorrow, you can come out and watch both games. Just make sure you're here at 5:10. That's when first pitch is scheduled.
And if you're a little bit late, then you'll at least catch half of that first game. And all of that action will be seen right here.
Yeah, we've got both games for you tomorrow night. If you have tickets for tomorrow, come on out early. You get to see 2 games for the price of 1. When I was a kid growing up, I would always open up the schedule and look for the doubleheaders, and those would be the first games
that's right.
I would get.
And at that time, they scheduled doubleheaders.
Usually on a Saturday or a Sunday. Oh, 2. Good pitch. Popped him up. Cantu makes the catch. So there are 2 outs. Augie Ojeda's coming up. And he knows that the best value at the ballpark is when you pick up a CBS 4 for $50 4-pack on Friday nights. With that CBS 4 for $50 4-pack, get 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, 4 sodas, 2 game programs starting at just $54. Visit the stadium box office, the Marlins and Miami store, or go to marlins.com. Here's Ojeda.
It's funny how you never know who you're going to hook up with as a player. Augie Ojeda was a teammate of A.J. Hinch's, his new manager, on the 1996 U.S. Olympic team.
They are both 34. It's a kind of an odd feeling when you've got a manager in there who is as old or maybe older than a few of the players. Eric Wedge was the last manager to manage at the age of 34 when he took over with the Cleveland Indians.
Some other interesting names on that Olympic team: Randy Wolf, Jeff Weaver, Casey Blake, also on that '96 U.S. Olympic team.
Hinch had just finished his career at Stanford. Kirk Gibson, the bench coach. Pitch is a strike.
I talked a little bit to Hinch about the things he would like to bring to his ball club, and he was very respectful to Bob Melvin, who was let go, and he said it's really nothing that Bob Melvin didn't try to do, but just to try to get a little swagger, a little bounce in their step, a little identity to his club.
Almost looks like he's trying to get Chip Hale's attention, his third base coach. Burns not running, and Ojeda pops a foul. I think both managers maybe had hoped that their guys at first had been running. The Marlins had Emilio Bonifacio at first base with nobody out, and he didn't attempt to run the entire inning,
which really surprised me.
And that's a pretty good illustration you just in watching Hinch. There goes Burns on the 2-2 pitch, which is taken for a ball. The throw down is not in time. People at home oftentimes assume, well, why isn't the manager sending the runner? Many times the manager is sending the runner, but the runner isn't getting the type of jump that he wants, and thus he's not running.
There's a must steal, and then there's the go ahead green light go when you think you get a good jump, and then there is the sign, hey, you go right now.
Look at Burns.
He must have played in that game in New Orleans.
That's why he's one of the most fun players to watch. Is he literally sticks his nose in it. That's down low. If you're wondering what Tommy's referencing about the game in New Orleans, earlier tonight on Marlins Live, we had a feature. Frank Fort talked to a couple of the players, Brian Sanchez and Chris Coughlin, who had played in New Orleans, the Marlins' new AAA affiliate, and they had a game there. Look at this video, and these are termites. They had hatched all at once, and there's Coughlin.
That's like the game the Yankees had last year, I think, in Cleveland.
That was the postseason game a couple years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The bug game?
The bug game. Was that in Cleveland?
Jabba Chamberlain? I believe it was in Cleveland.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think so. Well, because most of his time was spent in the American League, John Garland is 0 for 16 this year. So JJ just thinking about going right after him.
Garland actually gets a piece. And it's 1-2. 3 strikeouts and a walk and a pair of singles. First time through for Josh Johnson. The velocity's back. The command is back. And that one just missed.
How about that? He has hit a home run. Two.
Doubleheader tomorrow. and then a single game on Thursday. There's no way there would be a doubleheader on Thursday because the Diamondbacks have one of the most nightmarish travel days that you can get in the big leagues. A night game here in South Florida, a night game the next night in Oakland. Can you imagine their bus crossing the Bay Bridge? They're going to land in Oakland and bus over to the hotel in San Francisco. They'll be crossing the Bay Bridge with morning traffic.
Against traffic or with traffic, depending on where you work.
At about 8:30 or 9 in the morning.
Oh, goodness. Such are the travels. The Dodgers had a little easier. They had the day game Sunday, and they played last night at Dodger Stadium against the Mets.
Johnson finishes him off. And so 4 strikeouts, first time through the order, scoreless. We've taken it upon ourselves to tour some of the new parks and see what we like about them. In Philly, it's the food. Not necessarily the food, ballpark food, but the food around Philly they brought into the ballpark. You can get a Geno's cheesesteak that looks just like that right there. Only the green chilies are even greener in real life.
And, of course, in right field in Citizens Bank Ballpark, they have Bull's Barbecue. Greg Luzinski has set up a nice barbecue area. I might add, it's pretty good, too. I like the statues outside the different stadiums. That
Ashburn Alley out in the center.
The big statue of Mike Schmidt.
Here's John Baker with Dan Uggla and Jeremy Hermida to follow. Garland pours in a strike. Baker 5 home runs, 17 RBIs. And a strike. Quickly it's 0-2. Diamondbacks signed Garland for just 1 year, a little over $7 million. There's a mutual option for next year if they get along. Bake into center field. Leadoff single in the second.
Let's see if we can delve into the scouting report on John Garland. He has over the top a good sinker. We talked about that. He's aggressive. He's not afraid to work inside. He'll use his slider a little bit more than the curveball.
Here comes Uggla now. Uggla last night had an 0 for 1. He hit the ball that Reynolds threw away. Uggs is probably thinking to himself, wish they could have erased about 15 or 20 other games this year.
Yeah, you have to have a short memory in this game. And I think Dan has that. He still has kept a pretty good attitude, pretty good focus on the game at hand. Wow. And you know he likes to do well against this ball club, his former team, but the numbers in his career, he's only hit 190 last year against them, had one home run. But I think he always gets a little something special going when he faces up against the Diamondbacks.
We've had a variety of emails already about Uggla asking about putting him back in the 2 spot. To many viewers, he doesn't seem comfortable outside of that 2 spot. Of course, it used to be a Hanley and then Uggla in the order. And after hitting a BB foul, Uggla pops it into center field. Parra makes the catch.
You know what? I don't think it's out of the question. I don't think it's a bad idea. I'm sure it's something that Freddie's tossed around. We've seen Jeremy Hermida at times against some lefties in the number 2 spot.
It's nice to have a left-handed hitter in front of Hanley. Oftentimes managers try to do that, balance the lefties and the righties. A strike from Garland. 2 quick questions from Andres and Kendall. What do you think the bullpen strategy will be for the doubleheader on Wednesday? Marlins have some tired arms. Diamondbacks seem somewhat rested.
Well, certainly last night helped the bullpen. The bullpen got a night off.
Hermida hits a high fly ball right field. Upton makes the catch.
So much depends in the doubleheader. And when you talk to Freddie Gonzalez and you talk to Mark Wiley about it, so much that depends on that first game and how Chris Volstagg goes, if he goes deep into the game. And that might even determine who pitches the second game of the doubleheader.
His other quick question. These aren't actually quick questions, but they're good ones, so we'll use them. What's behind Burke Heinrich Badenhop's hop? After every pitch, he hops. This seems like an inside the Marlins feature.
That's why we call him the hopper.
Here's Ross. Cody pops that one into right center field. Parra calls and makes the catch. And the Marlins are done in the second. Again, Family Sunday finishes off the homestand. It's the Rays and Carl Crawford and Evan Longoria. 1:10 start. Kids can get a Josh Johnson Marlins cap courtesy of the Sun Sentinel. That's ironic because Josh is scheduled to start that ball game against James Shields. That's a great matchup. All the kids can run the bases in the Diamond-1877 Marlins. On email Tuesday night, Josh Johnson has arrived back at the top of the lineup. Lopez goes after the breaking ball. He struck out back in the first.
Well, the Rays on a nice little run. They've won 4 in a row now. They're up against Tim Wakefield, though, tonight at Fenway. So dealing with the knuckleball tonight. So far, the knuckleball has come out on top. The Red Sox have a 2-0 lead.
We've got a Rays question from Gainesville. Ebenezer. Paul wants to know, I still don't understand what happened in the Rays game on Sunday. What was the rule that forced Andy Sonnenstein to bat? What infraction did Joe Madden violate? Or what infraction did he do? What rule did he violate?
Well, there's not really a rule. It's just filling out the lineup card. And on the lineup card, he was planning on giving Evan Longoria the day off and letting him DH. And on the lineup card, Longoria and Ben Zobrist were both listed as playing third base. And so then, thus, an incorrect lineup card was submitted to the umpires.
Sharp ground ball. And Lopez is out.
So since the DH was not there, the pitcher, Andy Sonnenstein, had to hit. And he ended up going 1 for 3 and hit a double. It drove in a run. And the Rays won.
Yeah, the Indians couldn't catch a break. Now, here's the ironic thing, is everyone looks at Joe Madden and said, boy, what a big mistake you made. Most of the time, it's not the manager who actually literally makes out the lineup card. The manager makes up the lineup, but many times it's the bench coach or third base coach that draws the actual names onto the card.
Now, and I agree with you, and it really isn't probably his fault, yet it is his job to sign that card and see the lineup, as Freddie does when Carlos Tosca makes out the lineup card. Kind of like a golfer who signs an incorrect scorecard. And there have been golfers who have lost tournaments because of that.
Now, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of times, and when this happens, it's not all that often. But when it does happen, many times the opposing team will see it on the lineup card that they're given, because you bring 2 lineup cards to home plate, one for the umpire and one for the visiting team. They take that lineup card back. And if, say, I'm a team and I get your lineup card and I see a mistake where someone's batting out of order or something to that effect, oftentimes that team will wait until the right time to bring that up to an umpire. After maybe somebody's on base or that guy gets a hit or does something significant in the game, you can go out and say, hey, look, he's out of order, and they'll call him out.
Yeah, he shouldn't have been batting there.
Right.
Hey, the only concern right now for JJ is the pitch count starting to get up. 51 pitches already, and he's only gotten 1 out here in the 3rd inning. And Garland, on the other hand, has thrown just 20 pitches in his 2 innings of work.
Upton fouls that pitch off. Nani in Miami Lakes wants to know, is Justin Upton related to the other Upton? Yes. He is the younger brother of B.J. Upton. In fact, he won Upton him in the draft. This Upton was selected 1st overall. His brother was selected 2nd overall. Ross makes the catch.
JJ needs to put together a few of those quick outs if he expects to get into the 6th inning or more. And, you know, if you look at his previous starts, except for his last outing, that 4-inning outing, he had gone 6 or more innings in all of his previous 7 starts.
Frankie in Royal Palm Beach. My question to both of you is, when the Marlins' new stadium is built, is there anything you would take from Landshark Stadium and put it in the new stadium like the Mets did with the Big Apple?
No.
I knew that answer was coming. I didn't know it comes so quickly.
Don't want any reminders, do you?
No. No. Just the World Series pennants. There you go.
Yeah, you can take those. But those are yours. You don't have to lease those.
That's right. You're not a tenant anymore.
Just like if you lease a townhome, do you take anything from that? Take a few personal items, your furniture and stuff.
Except even if you're in a townhome, I think you get revenue from signage and parking.
I think the food's cheaper too.
Here's the 0-2. Yeah, it's outside. 1-2. Stephen Drew of the famous Drew brothers. There are 3 Drew brothers that were drafted in the first round. Throw over to first, and Parra is back.
Yeah, I think most people who follow the game today certainly know J.D. Drew, but they forget about Tim Drew, pitcher.
And the Florida State product taps it back to J.J., who flips over to first in time. Going to the bottom of the third, scoreless. And the Marlins. Josh Johnson leads it off against John Garland in the third. That would be a strike from Garland. The Marlins have just one hit, a John Baker single. Garland has walked one, hasn't struck anyone out, and he has 6 fly ball outs.
Well, I tell you, it didn't take him very long to right the ship. He started the game, he went to a 3-1 count, and then eventually walked Bonifacio. He hasn't thrown 2 or 3 balls to any batter since. So that's why his pitch count is low, and that's why JJ's is just a little high. He can correct that, though.
Burns makes the catch. We check in with Frank Fort.
All right, Rich, thanks very much. You mentioned earlier in the game, Emilio Bonifacio came up with the Arizona organization. He was signed at age 16 out of the Dominican Republic, made his debut 2 years ago, and I asked him what he remembered about that. He said, well, they used me as a pinch runner at first base. He eventually got around to third, did not score. I asked him, though, what Diamondback in the organization did he really kind of look up to? He said all the guys were great. He said, but Tony Clark was a guy that really was a great mentor to the young kids, had a way with the young players in the Arizona organization, kind of guiding them through the twists and turns of the early part of his major league career. Of course, since then, Bonifacio was traded to Washington, as you mentioned, for John Roush, and then here to the Marlins, along with a couple of minor leaguers, Scott Olson and Josh Willingham, going the other way. So he's been traded for some pretty decent players. But he said Tony Clark was the guy that he really kind of looked up to when he was with Arizona. Rich?
Bonifacio. Of course, Mike Rizzo, one of the principals in bringing him from Arizona to Washington. Rizzo was with Arizona, now in the front office, and now the general manager, as a matter of fact, of the Nationals.
Yeah, Bonifacio, 11 games with Arizona in 07, 8 games in 08. And Tony Clark on the disabled list right now for the Diamondbacks.
And a swing and a miss. Bonifacio goes down. So 2 quick outs for Garland.
Boy, Big John Garland had back-to-back 18-win seasons with the White Sox, 05 and 06. 7 straight years of 10 or more wins.
Chris Coughlin lined out. Slow tapper. This could be an interesting play.
See, they do all even out. Well, not really. Remember the line shot that Chris Coughlin hit his first time up in the center field? Just an absolute bullet. And this time he rolls over on one, little topper. You could even see the reaction of Garland. He knew that it was going to be a base hit because he couldn't get it. The only guy that's going to make a play on this is the pitcher. Once it got by Garland, Chris Coughlin gets himself an infield single.
So here is Hanley now. Well, after Coughlin lined out in the first, Hanley lined out. His was to left. And Coughlin, who swiped 9 bases in his short stay in New Orleans.
In that high school fastball.
Had a variety of rain delay questions. One theme is, what do players do during a rain delay?
Oh, it's a variety of things. Some will go in and do a little workout in the weight room. Some will play cards. Some will play dominoes. Some will just sit around and talk. Some will go in and watch video, pitchers or hitters.
Hanley swings and misses. There aren't any Rick Dempseys left in the game, are there? Or is that specifically in modern day contracts that you can't go out?
That's kind of a no-no now, yeah.
Entertain, as Dempsey, the former Baltimore Oriole, used to do on the wet tarp. That always used to be a highlight of rain delays at the old Memorial Stadium in Baltimore.
I think Dempsey from a theatrical family. That's where he picked that up.
He would stuff towels in his shirt.
Do the Babe Ruth imitation.
And he would always end his performance with a head-first slide into home plate. Change up, strike 3 call. Boy, John Garland is really on his game. game if you don't answer the Aflac trivia question.
No.
Aflac!
So, with that in mind, Dan Herron was involved in a trade that included which current Marlin? That was the question last night.
And we never got to the answer.
Nope. Here's Reynolds. And he fouls it off.
Well, the bottom line, and one good thing certainly tonight, is to see Josh Johnson back throwing the way we saw him his first 7 starts.
Diamondbacks have had a base runner at the very least in each of the 3 innings, but the velocity's been up, the location's been good. Mark Reynolds strikes out again. All right, continuing on our ballpark theme. What part of Cincinnati's ballpark do we like? We like the Reds Hall of Fame, which is really cool.
Right next door. Just tremendous to go through. Look at that. Tony Perez, Sparky Anderson, and his big red machine.
Not the team of the 70s, though.
Ah, there's a nice quick out.
Bonifacio fires across the first. Eric Burns is out.
I also like the fact, I mean, you can't do a lot about this. Put the cue up for that quick out. The fact that it is so close to downtown, you can walk to Great American Ballpark from downtown.
Number 19, catcher Chris Snyder.
Chris Snyder's coming up. Actually, he's going to walk up, give his pitcher some time to rest.
Well, 3 pitches to strike out Reynolds, and then 1 pitch to get Burns.
Holmes and Scruffy with an email. Marlins Ballpark, will it be a hitter's park or a pitcher's park? Scruffy also wants to know what type of food will be served there. Pitcher's park, that's the early thought and the design. Of course, sometimes you never know until you get into the park.
I think a case in point, the new Yankee Stadium. They thought that would be similar to Yankee Stadium, and it's become quite a home run haven.
Other case in point, San Francisco, they thought with that short porch and right, it might be a great hitter's park, and it hasn't played that way at all.
Johnny Damon has 10 home runs already this year.
Bonifacio, fair ball, and he throws him out. So 1, 2, 3. There's the quick inning you were looking for from Josh Johnson. By Checkers, Little Place, Big Taste. By Corona, the official sponsor of the timeout. And by Honda South Florida. Visit your South Florida Honda dealers online at sfhondadealers.com to find a deal on fuel-efficient Hondas. Rich Waltz, Tommy Hunt, and Frank Fort with you. Our entire Fox Sports Florida crew. John Sulzer, our producer. Jim Hawley, household name director. Ken Lee, our graphics coordinator. Jorge Cantu, fairly well-known first baseman. With Baker and Ugla to follow in the fourth against John Garland. Who has been very good.
Yeah, he's mixed things up. He runs that sinker in. We've seen some good change-ups, the slider. Early on, the first inning, there were some well-hit balls that were not base hits, and then he has settled in. The only two hits have been from left-handers, Chris Coughlin and John Baker.
Cantu fouls that one off. It's 0-2. Garland misses away. Emailer says he has two questions for Tommy. According to Baseball Almanac, you did not attend college and you were an undrafted free agent.
That's right. I signed before the draft was instituted.
Cantu.
The first year of the draft, as it is now, was 1965. Prior to 1965, you could sign with anybody.
And you signed with the Dodgers.
In 64, yeah.
See, I was an undrafted free agent as well, but nobody would sign me. First player drafted was Rick Monday.
Rick Monday.
Out of Arizona State.
Mm-hmm. Just saw Rick the other day in here with the Dodgers. Does their radio broadcasts with Charlie Steiner.
Follow-up question to that from that emailer is, what is the percentage of today's player that went to college?
I would say greater than it was then, but then again, maybe not, because you have so many more players who are signing from other countries now than back when I signed. College baseball back in the 60s wasn't what it is now.
So players from the United States, there's probably a higher percentage of college players now than there were. Runner goes, hit and run, and it's dribbled out towards Lopez, who gets Baker. All right, let's answer this question, which has been out there for over 24 hours, so no excuse. You should know that that man,
there's the hint.
That was a big trade. Dan Herron, who started last night's game. Derek Barton and Kiko Calero went from Oakland to St. Louis.
A chance for Dan Ugla to get the Marlins on the scoreboard, get a lead in this game. First time in this game the Marlins have gotten a runner in scoring position.
As we've talked about, Garland spent his entire career in the American League. The ironic thing is he was drafted by a National League team. He was drafted by the Cubs and then traded to the White Sox for Matt Karchner. How did that work out?
Yeah, the next year. It wasn't like he spent a long time in the Cubs minor league system.
And he would go on to be a very good starter for the White Sox.
And he was traded from the White Sox to the Angels for a good little shortstop, Orlando Cabrera.
2005, when the White Sox won their World Series championship, Garland was a big piece of that rotation. He won 18 games. Douglas cranked 2 balls foul and hit him hard.
Yeah, Garland that year 18-10 with a 3.50 ERA.
He was part of that rotation too that had all those complete games in a row in the postseason. His was a complete game win in Game 3 of the American League Championship Series.
Yeah, Ozzie got some hot hands and he kept going with them. Stayed with them.
Freddie Garcia, Mark Burley.
Quite a contrast in styles, those 3 pitchers.
Douglas fly balls out to center. Cantu is going to tag, but he'll hold there. Parra has a good arm. And there's 2 outs. All right, Ellen in Coral Springs. Tomorrow is my birthday, and my family and I are coming to the game.
You get to see 2 games.
Now that there's a doubleheader, the regularly scheduled game is going to be so late. Why didn't they make one of the games an afternoon game, which there's a better chance of getting the 2 games in should there be any rain? But Ellen, you're missing the point. It's your birthday, and so for your birthday, the Marlins and the Diamondbacks are going to play 2 games. You could come early and see like the whole first game, and if it gets too late, you will have seen a game and a half, and you could go home and watch the rest of the game and make it a complete birthday. Pop-up, Burns makes the catch. John Garland's and Josh Johnson throwing up zeros. Press the SAP button on your remote or your set, and Cookie and Raul will magically appear like this.
Abracadabra. Roletazo al pitcher del 1 al 3, sacan el out.
How do you say abracadabra in Spanish?
Just like that.
Just
Abracadabra.
hey, Cookie, we've been talking about, emailers have been asking us about the new ballpark. What would you like to see in the new ballpark?
I like to see a World Series. Absolutely. We'll be ready by that time.
That's good.
No question. I think it's going to be very exciting. It's going to be beautiful. And the fans are going to really enjoy that new facility.
We've been talking about some of the ballparks around and what we like, the food in Philadelphia, the Hall of Fame in Cincinnati. The pool in Arizona. Fastball misses outside.
I was telling Cookie I wouldn't mind seeing una la carreta in the new stadium. That'd be nice. Have some cafecitos too.
Ooh, yeah.
So, and now Tommy.
Anytime food is mentioned, I perk up.
3 times this week, Tommy has gone to the bullpen for a Cuban sandwich. So I expect we'll see that down in the ballpark as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I think
How about a
you're gonna
croqueta preparada? Have you had
Yes.
one of those?
I have not had one of those, but I'm
Oh.
sure I could wash it down with a café con leche.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. I need one of those right about now, actually.
Just wait till tomorrow. The second game.
You know it.
All right, guys. Have a good show.
You too, guys.
fellas.
John Garland is waiting on a 2-2.
This is a tough part. I mean, I hate to get on JJ because he's been throwing well, especially the last 2 innings. He had 3 quick outs in the 4th inning, got a quick out on Ojeda. But he threw 7 pitches to Garland his last time up, and he's taken him to a 3-2 count here.
Hanley has it on a hop. On to first in time. Jay from Royal Palm Beach. Been following the Marlins since '93, wondering with most teams putting on retro uniforms for some games, will the Marlins be putting on any teal pinstripes this season? It's hard to be retro when you're not that far back. I mean, I don't think the Diamondbacks have had retro night yet.
No, you have to have a little history before you can be retro. I can be retro. You can't be retro.
Hanley, how about another ground ball?
Oh, nice.
And that'll do wonders for your pitch count. Another quick inning for Josh Johnson, who has retired 8 in a row. Men at work. Josh Johnson, John Garland. Impressive to watch. Cody Ross, Johnson himself, and then Bonifacio in the 5th in a scoreless ball game. Garland has given up just 3 singles. And takes something off his fastball for a strike. It's 0-1.
Yeah, he's really kept his pitch count down. That was number 46. And JJ's helped his cause the last couple of innings.
Tonight in Detroit, Dontrell Willis is pitching, and he's pitching well. 6 in the 3rd innings. 1 hit, no runs, 5 strikeouts.
To a good hitting ball club, the Texas Rangers, and the Rangers, I believe, have won 7 straight.
3-0 Tigers in the 7th.
Yeah, Texas leads that American League West, and right now they're on a 7-game winning streak. Talked a little bit about Dontrell to Juan Pierre the other day.
Ross breaks his bat and gets himself a base hit.
Well, Garland continued to pound him inside. He's done that with Jorge Cantu as well. And Cody stayed right there, got jammed a little bit, but didn't try to come over the top of it. Kept his hands behind the ball. They were playing him to pull because that's where they're pitching him inside, and he went right back up the middle.
What did JP have to say about Dontrell?
You know, he said, I talked to Dontrell. We talk every couple of weeks. He said, you know, Dontrell, he never says anything bad. So he's always upbeat. He's always positive. And so they do stay in touch, and that's good to hear.
Johnson takes outside.
Speaking of JJ, by the way, he threw 18 pitches in the 3rd inning. In the 4th inning, he threw 7. And in the 5th inning, he threw 9. So that's really helped his game plan.
There's a nice bunt. Snyder to Lopez. You can eat and drink all you want for one low price with the Marlins all-you-can-eat seats. Get your fill of hot dogs, peanuts, nachos, soft drinks from the comfort of your club seats. The next night where it's all you can eat is Friday night, the 22nd. 305-626-SAVE. Now let's see if the Marlins can make this pay off.
That was a beautiful bunt, by the way, from Josh Johnson to help his cause.
By the way, Todd Helton got another hit tonight, and it is his 2000th. A 3rd inning single.
Yeah, there was some controversy last night when the ball was called an error, and I'm sure Helton himself said, forget about it. I'll get a hit. I'll get a clean hit, and that's good to see. Congratulations. Jason Kendall picked up his 2000th last night for Milwaukee.
Bonifacio fouls it off. Fred from Boca. I heard a story on the radio that the Marlins stayed at a spooky hotel in Milwaukee and that the players heard babies crying at night.
That was just me and Rich.
And that some players were so scared that they grouped up. Is that true? Are they going to stay at the same hotel again? And is that the reason the Marlins got swept?
Well, let's see, there are a few questions in there.
Line shot caught by Reynolds, throws the second, double play. Ross is caught off, and Garland with a quick escape from the 5th. So these two teams have accomplished something they couldn't last night. They've played 5 innings without a run. Josh Johnson against Gerardo Parra.
You know, there was some speculation when J.J. had that outing in Milwaukee, which came after his outing in Denver. And Freddie was the one who brought it up because he said a couple of the Braves pitchers when he was over there used to mention it, that a start and taking it deep into the game, as Josh did in Denver, can take a lot out of you for that next start.
I think it was Hudson and Smoltz.
Yeah.
Who are pretty high authorities. And when Freddie described it, he said it's the start after you pitch in Denver that you kind of have a dead arm. You don't have the same energy.
Well, and remember, Josh went 8 innings in that game in Denver.
Which is kind of fascinating because then you stop and you think about, well, what if you're a Rockies pitcher?
I guess the answer would be they get accustomed to the high altitude. They're a little more used to it.
John Garland's the beneficiary of a checkers double play.
Boy, you hate to get doubled up on a play like this, but it was a good play by Reynolds. And really, Cody didn't get off that far. He planted, got back to the bag as fast as he could, but Reynolds caught the line drive, which was hit hard, and made a good throw to the shortstop.
Swing and a miss. Bill and Megan watching in Wilmington, North Carolina. Does your broadcast team all wear the same shirts every game, or do you mix up the colors? Are they available for sale to the public? They are quite sporty. Chopper to third. Bonifacio fires it across. And Justin Upton is out number 2. They are, if you pop into any Tommy Bahama store, especially the one on Las Olas, that's where we buy our shirts.
And we do mix them up. Sometimes I wear Conines and you wear mine. And Frank gets in.
Hey,
Craig's.
I don't think that's what Bill and Megan meant.
Oh, okay.
Oh. I don't know, guys. As long as we launder them first, I guess it's not an issue.
Well, and you know, the other thing now is Regis is wearing his own.
Did he finally get his?
Yes, he did. He got a nice, the folks at Tommy Bahama and Las Olas sent Regis the exact size. Remember, he put it this way. Regis wants a blue one. Regis wants a medium.
A medium, yeah.
I wonder if he had that written into his contract when he came out for the first pitch. Was that one of the perks?
You know, is a fastball for a strike. Tommy and I both received very nice photographs when Regis was up here in the booth. His producer Gelman was here and one of the photographers from the show, and they took his picture, which they used on the show. He sent us copies of that picture with little notes.
Notes, personally autographed. Yeah,
very classy and very nice.
We need to go see if we can see Regis on the off day in New York.
Well, I think we do, because when last we saw Regis, the Marlins were over 500.
Yeah, we need Regis right now.
Here's the 2-2. Paul in Delray Beach for the new stadium. Can the Marlins have Billy slide into the pool after every home run, similar to Bernie the Brewer or the Mets Apple or the Houston Train? You know, David Samson is going to join us at some point tonight. There's a chopper towards Ugla. Danny on the outfield grass, a quick flip. Both of these pitchers have really settled in to this ball game. Scoreless still. in. Freeze it. Look at that. Good height. Face in the dirt. Helmet askew.
A little tap on Hanley. Say nice
Going
going.
over his face.
Dirt everywhere.
That's the Coors Light freeze cam.
Hey, at least he cleaned the dirt off.
Yeah, he cleans up nice. All right, back to the story of John Garland and Josh Johnson. Strike throwers, outmakers. Here is Coughlin. Coughlin has an infield single and hit maybe the hardest ball of the night for the Fish. That line drive to center. He fouls it off his foot.
Yeah, the only hits tonight. The Marlins have 4. They're all singles. And the Diamondbacks have 2. And they are both singles.
Jackie in Miami emails, did Coughlin finally get his home run ball back from the creep in Milwaukee? And what did that guy get in return? Yes, he got the ball. And it was not a pleasant experience. When somebody tries to extort something from a guy like Coughlin and say it was his first home run ball, Coughlin offered up an autographed bat or a ball or a jersey or whatever. The guy wanted something from Hanley. He wanted Coughlin to go to Hanley and get something from Hanley. I don't know if it was a bat.
I think he wanted a Hanley bat.
I mean, give me a break. If it's Hanley's home run ball, then okay, ask for something from Hanley. But you're making a guy who's new to the big leagues go to somebody else just because you caught a home run ball?
And you're probably going to take that ball and put it on eBay and sell it. And it's so much more meaningful to Chris Coughlin, to the person who hit it.
As it turned out, Coughlin got the ball, and I think the guy settled for a Coughlin autographed bat and maybe some tickets to the Brewers series, which is coming up here in a couple weeks. Does that mean that guy's going to be in this ballpark?
No, I hope not. Or if he is, I hope he doesn't get any home run balls.
Hanley is 0 for 2. And that went off the top of the dugout. Rick. Actually, it's Rab and Doral. We've yet to see the duck tonight, and I'm having withdrawals, so I came up with my own trivia question. What pitcher threw only 120 innings in Marlins history but has 2 World Series rings? Garland misses down low. It's a pretty good question.
That is a good question.
Maybe maybe we ought to hook the duck up with Rab.
They go off for dinner.
Exchange information.
Rab, just don't order duck soup.
Oh, Hanley. Deep left field. Burns is watching. Gone.
Oh, Hanley.
One nothing.
Hanley Ramirez has had some great swings lately. Hitting over 400 his last 22 games and absolutely launches this pitch. One of the few mistakes that Garland has made. That pitch had a lot of the plate, and Hanley knew it.
Well, you got to make that play out there. The Q crew.
Can't believe it. Had him played just right.
Now she's got a glove. And he has a glove. Cantu. Gets by Burns and goes to the wall. And Cantu's got a double.
That's going to be a base hit in E7. And then maybe a belt adjustment for Eric Burns. This ball, another one, hit hard. Tries to run it inside. He's pitched Jorge there all night. And that's really just misplayed. He's got to keep that ball in front of him. So it is going to go as an error.
Looks
but
like
a base hit.
Looks like a martial arts move. Look at the belt.
He hasn't adjusted it since that head first slide.
Here's Baker with 1 out. So a run's on the board. Yeah, I think he does need a new one. Baker's 1 for 2.
I think I've come up with the answer to
Rab's question.
That question. How about Rick Helling?
Yes, you're right. I kind of gave it away because he put Rick Helling right next to his name.
But you didn't tell me now. Be honest to Rab.
You've been.
And you know why? We saw Rick Helling, who's working for the Players Association. We saw him in Chicago. He touches base with the Major League players to answer questions. And
1 and 2.
And I remembered seeing Rick and saying and thinking to myself, man, he was with both World Series teams.
So he and Niner, right?
Uh-huh.
There's actually an email for Niner here. Wanted to find out whatever happened to the triathlon that he was training for. And that was the Ironman, and he finished it.
He did. He is an Ironman.
And he'll be with us on Thursday night. And this emailer says, I'm a father of 2 and would like to see at the new stadium summer camps for kids and a tailgating friendly parking lot.
No argument with either of those. Anything you can get kids involved in. And I know I speak from a personal note with our baseball academy up at Roger Dean Stadium, Tommy Hutton Baseball Academy. It's great for kids. They love it.
Maybe you could open a satellite campus.
There you go.
1-2 pitch misses down low. Sebastian in Wellington, will there be a need for a grounds crew at the new stadium?
Yeah. I mean, we see the grounds crews at the other retractable dome stadiums. You need to keep the infield tidy. You have to mow the grass or it'd be central cut if you didn't do that.
Great changeup.
Yeah, he has a good one tonight.
You know, that's a good point about the grass because the grass in the new stadium on the infield is going to be thicker than this grass simply because
it's not going to get the hot sunshine.
And they won't have the tarp on it as much. That's kind of what does it here is the tarp that's on it. Here is Ugla. I mean, the grass when the season started, the grass during the World Baseball Classic, players remarked was the best they'd ever seen it. But as the summer goes on.
Rich, Tommy?
Yep.
Yeah, got something to add to that.
Sure, Frank.
In fact, we just interviewed Alan Sigwart and Tom Wilson for an upcoming Inside the Marlins, part of which is going to be on the ground crew. And they talked a lot about what they do here. They actually have 4 different crews that rotate throughout the day. There's one crew that's here at 7 in the morning. And right through the game day staff that takes care of the field after the game. And actually, they mow the grass here at least once a day, sometimes twice a day. And they have to keep it at about 3/4 of an inch. As we all know, it's one of the fastest infields in baseball. They say because this Bermuda grass, if you let it get too big, it tends to get tangly. So they mow it sometimes twice a day. And I'm sure that may not be the case at the new ballpark with the roof.
A strike and it's 1-1.
Well, as we have said, and I love talking to the ground crew guys when we walk by going into the other clubhouse. They always stop and they always appreciate the nice things that we say, and they are the hardest working and the best ground crew in baseball. Right now, just relaxing.
There was an email early in the night that I didn't read because I was hoping there would be no rain, but the question was, who's the fastest grounds crew in baseball? And I don't think there's any question.
Yeah, no question at all.
It takes outside.
And the reason being, unfortunately, they get lots of practice.
Ugla pops it foul back into the seats.
Well, Garland trying to make a good pitch to keep it just a 1-0 game. This would be a great at bat for Dan Ugla if he was able to come through and get a big hit here. They've made him work this inning. See the pitches in the inning, 22 for Garland. It's only the second 3-ball count he's had all night.
Ugla over the outstretched glove of Ojeda. Burns kicks it. A run scores, and Ugla's at second.
Boy, and another error by Eric Burns in left field. What a great at bat, and that is going to do Dan Ugla a world of good. He is so glad. He's thinking the third baseman, Augie Ojeda, is going to catch this. He's saying to himself right now, if Reynolds is at third, he probably catches it because he's taller. But he got jammed, he stayed with it, got the base hit in the RBI, and Burns boots it and allows Ugla to get the scoring position. Great job by Daniel.
Garland getting a visit from Mel Stottlemyre Jr., his pitching coach. Now, Tommy, Frank was talking about cutting the grass. This grass is cross-cut. Watch the ball zigzag with the cross-cuts.
Oh, yeah, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, and left. And
Yep.
it just got past the glove.
That's what's known as cross-cutting. It's the checkerboard look. When you look at the outfield grass, it looks beautiful, but for outfielders, it's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare. You have to be ready for it, though, and you have to know that that's going to happen.
Good work in the truck. Hermida with Ugla at second. So the Marlins have a Hanley homer, a couple of base hits, and a couple of errors on Burns. Lopez throws him out. Hermida and the Fish are done. Hanley opens the scoring. Hanley Ramirez opens with a solo homer. Marlins add a run and a 2-0 lead. Josh Johnson bends one up there to Mark Reynolds, and it's 1-0. That breaking ball misses. Reynolds, a pair of strikeouts, 49 now. And a big swing and a miss. It will be interesting to watch Mark Reynolds' career to see if he ever makes the adjustment and cuts down on the strikeouts. Of course, every now and then he runs into one. Man, did he drive that ball out of here to left center.
Well, and it's drives like that that
keep him swinging.
Just when you think about telling him to shorten his swing, you change your mind. But that ball was crushed and got out quickly in an area of this ballpark that's the deepest that you can go. So Mark Reynolds with his 9th home run of the year. Middle end with the fastball, didn't quite get in far enough, and we've talked about it, 28 home runs last year for Reynolds. Led the Diamondbacks in home runs and RBIs last year.
Here's Burns, swinging and missing. Burns is 1 for 2, but he made 2 errors in the Marlins' 6th.
First time in his career he's ever had 2 errors in one game. It's also only the 4th home run that JJ's allowed this year. Pinto getting loose.
91 pitches for Johnson. Our Firestone leaderboard, home ERA.
Josh came into this game 2-0 and an 0.90 ERA at home.
Soft one hopper. Bonifacio skips it and throws it right by Cantu. Now Burns made a turn. The Marlins should tag him, and he's called safe. Burns spun towards the bag. Again, I'd like to see it again. The rule is if the guy makes a step or an attempt towards second. Let's watch him.
Yeah, I think Bonifacio, when he picked that ball, and see, these are things you have to know. He was surprised at where Burns was up the line, but you have to know Burns busts it hard all the time and gets up that line quickly. See how he started to tap it in the glove and then he rushed it, and as he rushed his throw, he never crossed over the line, so he looked like he wanted to, but a good call by Chris Guccione.
You don't often see players spin towards second in that case. Chris Snyder, Diamondback catcher. It's a 2-1 ball game. Into center field, base hit. Ross will pick it up. Burns stops at second. The bad news is the Diamondbacks have first and second. The sliver of good news is that Arizona's down near the bottom of their order. They've got Ojeda, then the pitcher spot, which will undoubtedly be a pinch hitter. Juan Gutierrez is up. Here's Ojeda.
Well, now's a situation where JJ is going to have to try to, if not himself, the bullpen's getting ready, but just try to get out of this inning with a lead.
Ojeda squares, drops down the bunt. Bonifacio on to first in time. And we'll see which pinch hitter A.J. Hinch selects. And it looks like Miguel Montero's coming up. Our poll question. First, our results. Which rival do you dislike the most? Mets, 58%. A runaway there. This week's question. Which feature of the new ballpark are you most excited about? The roof, the swimming pool, baseball-only seating, new concessions. With Montero coming up, Freddie's on his way out to get Josh Johnson. 97 pitches. Remember the effort that he had his last time out. And so I think the Marlins, with a little bit of caution, and certainly with it, Pinto coming in, Montero, the announced. Josh Johnson gets into the seventh, gets an out, but he will leave with runners at second and at third. Not of his own doing. The big error by Bonifacio opened the door. And here is Pinto trying to close it.
Boy, Pinto brings a nice ERA into this situation. We always talk about when he comes into games with a runner at third base, in this case second and third. We talk about that changeup that can get away. He will throw a wild pitch every once in a while, so a little extra effort from John Baker behind the plate. He knows that.
Here is Montero. And Pinto hits him. So Pinto comes in with the lefty coming up, and he puts one right in his back.
Yeah, no change. A.J. Hinch stays with the lefty in Montero.
Which is a little bit of a nuance there because Montero is the backup catcher. And say if they wanted to bring a different pinch hitter up, if you pinch hit with Montero, you can't lift him for another guy to face the lefty.
But as we've seen, a lot of left-handers have good swings and good at-bats off Pinto because his out pitch is that good pitch to righties, the changeup.
Well, one pitch, and he loads him up. And here's Lopez, who's 0 for 3. Good speed at the plate, not an easy guy to double up. Burns reached on the error.
Good speed at third, too.
Snyder singled. We just saw Montero plunked. I think he went. Boy, no call. It almost looked like a swing.
And nobody's asking the first base umpire.
No, he didn't.
I think a lot of times if the catcher thinks that he did, he'll ask the umpire to ask for help.
Here's the 1-1. 1-2.
Good fastball, belt high. Now he has him set up if he wants to use that changeup, or if he feels good with his fastball. This is where Pinto can use either of those two pitches.
There's the changeup.
He has that good delivery and motion with the same motion with the fastball and changeup.
Calero's ready. Another lefty on deck in Para. Soft line drive going to fall right field. Burns will score. This game's tied.
Well, the key here is the pitch is up. The target by John Baker was in. He wanted to crowd him with another fastball, but it was up and out over the plate. Lopez, who, as we bet you before, has had good success against the Marlins, ties the game.
Bag still loaded. Now Para. Line drive hitting rookie. First week in the big leagues. Another soft serve left field. That falls. Coughlin kicks it. 2 runs are going to score. And Para is safe at second. The Diamondbacks have struck for 4.
Boy, right now, look at the target. And look at the pitch. Up. Served by Para. And again, taking a funny bounce. It's a base hit, and then an error to Chris Coughlin, his first error as a left fielder. Nothing going right out of that bullpen, and JJ can only sit and watch.
It was the error by Bonifacio after the home run that opened the door. Here's Armoruni called to the bullpen. A 2-0 lead, but the Diamondbacks have come storming back. Kiko Calero, the third to work in the inning. Josh Johnson goes 6 1/3. Pinto does not get an out.
Boy, the whole thing started when Pinto came in and hit Miguel Montero, the pinch hitter, a left-handed batter. The busy Kiko Calero.
This is going to bring the infield in for the number 3 hitter, one of the hottest hitters that the Diamondbacks have. Upton hitting around 370 since late April. Fly ball left field. Coughlin rushing in. Runner tags, makes the catch. Here he comes. The throw is cut. And the Diamondbacks add another run. Upton drives home Lopez.
Well, Upton doing what he needed to do, got that ball deep enough to score the runner from third.
Doubleheader tomorrow, 4:30 start for Marlins Live.
Boy, frustration, you can see it in the look of Josh Johnson because of the way he pitched. He pitched so well.
Stephen Drew is being intentionally walked to get to Reynolds, and of course Reynolds opened up this inning with a monstrous home run to left center field. We've been going through emails all night. When the game gets rolling like this, sometimes we have a tendency to steer away from them, and we will get back to them. Ask.themarlins at fox.com is our email address. And David Samson will be joining us. Hopefully, he's in a meeting, a stadium meeting. So we've been told he'll be arriving soon. We have a long list of questions for him. Reynolds takes a slider high.
The other thing that's happening in this game too, let's say Josh Johnson had completed the 7th inning. You look at your bullpen, a couple of innings. Now Freddie may be forced to use guys that he'll probably have to use in the doubleheader tomorrow.
Tomorrow night certainly going to be a challenge for both managers, juggling starters and relievers. Parra and Drew out there for Arizona. High fly ball. Hermida makes the catch, but the Diamondbacks put 5 on the board. 7th inning stretch and a 3-run lead.
Well, early on, it was J.J. firing bullets. He had good stuff, much better than he had in Milwaukee. But you know what? John Garland was pretty good himself. Changed speeds, good changeup, spotted his fastball, but Hanley got the Marlins on the scoreboard with a launching blast. Reynolds, though, got the Diamondbacks back in the game. It was 2-1 at that time. Pinto with a hit batter. A couple of balls blooped. Lopez with a bloop. This ball not hit all that hard, and all of a sudden a big 5-run inning for the Diamondbacks, and they've taken a 5-2 lead. JJ can just sit and watch.
And the Marlins get into the Diamondbacks bullpen now. Fastball that misses up from the right-hander out of the bullpen. Juan Gutierrez, Cody Ross, the pitcher's spot, and then Bonifacio. All night we've been taking emails, and we told you that we'd have stadium emails for David Samson, who was actually in a stadium meeting. No kidding, boy, you came right from the meeting all dressed up. Any big decisions made during that meeting?
There were some big things discussed, but I was just trying to make it to the ballpark so I could be part of Email Tuesday.
Well, we've got plenty of emails waiting for you. After this pitch, we'll throw out the ceremonial first one. Ross puts it in the seats. It's a foul ball. Laurie and Weston. New Marlins Stadium going to be in the running for the 2013 All-Star Game.
Well, we talked to baseball because Florida should have had an All-Star Game, as you know, and it was taken away way back when. But we're going to get one. We don't want one the first season or the second season, but we're thinking probably around 2014, 2015, because remember, 2013 will be the World Baseball Classic, which we would expect to host either the semifinals or the finals. So there's a lot of exciting events that will come, and we'll try to do at least one every year during the season, and all sorts of things off season as well.
So you think you guys have a good shot at the semis or the finals of that WBC?
I think that everyone around the world saw what happens when you host WBC in Miami. We're a natural. When you've got a retractable roof facility, you've got air conditioning, you've got Miami, you've got Latin America. And we are the gateway to Latin America. So you bring in Venezuela, Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico, U.S. You're talking about a lot of excitement.
Yep. All right, we've had a few questions like this. This is from Christian in downtown Miami. I'm big on tailgating before games. Considering most of the park at the new stadium will be in garages, will there be a designated area where fans can tailgate?
There absolutely will, as a matter of fact, because there's going to be at least 4, and right now 6.
Cody's shot is fair, and into the corner it goes.
There's going to be at least 6 surface parking lots, just like here at Landshark Stadium, where you can drive your car and tailgate and have fun. So don't worry, there's going to be a lot to do, Christian. A lot of tailgating.
Cody Ross with a leadoff double.
Second hit for Cody, and he comes off that hot series he had against the Dodgers. So good to see Cody with some good swings tonight. How about we had a couple of questions earlier about the swimming pool area. Where is it going to be, or do you know at this point exactly?
We do. Remember, we had a mandate from the beginning, even going back as far as 7 years, that we wanted, Jeffrey Loria, the owner of this team, said, we want a ballpark that's going to be literally the museum of baseball. We want something that's going to be different. It's not going to be...
How about a Ross Glode pinch hit?
David, keep talking and stay here.
Don't leave that seat.
We got our slump buster up here.
I'll tell you, I've been called a lot of things, Tommy. I've never been called a slump buster, but it's a pleasure to spend time with you. I'll see you on the road. So I can just tell you that the mandate was to make sure that this building is something that people will be proud of for generations. And it's not going to be one of the retro buildings. We're talking about a modern ballpark with an incredible retractable roof, incredible designs, not just from the architect's populace who used to be HOK, but you can see from this picture the roof, and the building is built with every attention to detail. And Jeffrey Loria is attending to details of the pool, which are going to be, it's going to be left field. You're going to have see through the fence. So people are going to be swimming and able to see the game.
Oh, nice.
And it's not going to be on the side. It's going to be really one of the great areas. And what we want to focus on, if you look at this picture, all the different areas in the ballpark that you'll be able to sit and watch a game. Not just necessarily from your seat, but different areas to have a drink, different areas to be with your kids, different areas reflecting the history of the Marlins, which, as you know, we have a great history. So we're really attending to these type of details right now.
So you're going to be able to see through left field into the pool, like one of those cool 60s Sinatra type deals?
That's exactly right. We were actually trying to get Sinatra to do the first pitch, because that's exactly what it's like. It's the concept of being a part of the game from no matter where you are, whether you're in the pool, whether you're behind the plate. We're not going to have obstructed views, obstructed seats.
Roller up the middle. Out there. Drew's turn. Out at first base.
You bring up Sinatra and there's a double play.
There you go.
So you're talking about the excitement, just what this market needs. It needs the ability to come to a stadium, a ballpark like tonight with all the rain there. We had sold, I don't know, 10 or 11,000 tickets minimum, and obviously not that many people came after last night and the rain tonight. You really need to get rid of that rain that comes every single night, and we need to get a roof.
All right, good question follows that up. This emailer saw the previous series in Milwaukee and saw all the rain pouring through the roof at Miller Park. Will the Marlins roof have any problems like that one?
Well, there'll be a different president of the team if that's the case.
Well, as we explained in that series, having been in a stadium that has a roof, a three-piece roof in Seattle, Miller Park's roof design is unique and problematic. Your roof design, the one that you'll see at this ballpark, is more like Houston, Seattle?
Think Houston.
Okay.
It's a three-panel roof that moves under itself, as opposed to the fan shape, which the Brewers have. And the fan shape was very interesting at the time in 2001. It had never been done in the United States, certainly at a baseball park. And we just want to go with something a little more conventional in terms of mechanization, because all we care about is that we want people to be cool and dry. And it's going to look, if you look at the building and how the roof looks, it actually has a very good feel to it.
High pop. Lopez out on the grass. And he makes the catch. Marlins get one back, but are down 2. Going to the 8th. More emails, more stadium questions for David Samson when we and we're getting creative. I like this. Scott Shields, Tom Gordon. Tom Gordon on the disabled list with this Arizona team. There's been an Alan Mills sighting on the show.
That's a unique list.
Just as Miller relievers keep their team in the game, you two can stay in the game just for man hair color. Eric Burns leads it off. Leo Nunez in the 8th. Burns, Snyder, and Ojeda. David Samson is with us. All right, this email says, I pass by the Orange Bowl site every day. I watch on the webcam on Marlins.com, but haven't seen any action yet. When is the groundbreaking date for the new ballpark?
You will start seeing action July 1st. That is the day that we have established as when action will officially begin. Right now you see flagpoles. If you go on our webcam on Marlins.com, and the flagpoles you see right there, you see it's the Marlins flag, the city flag, and the county flag, plus the architects and the people building it, and then of course the U.S. flag right there. And it literally marks the bases, first, second, third, and then home plate. But as of July 1st, those flagpoles will be relocated as we start building the ballpark.
And do you have your hard hat sized for July 1st, ready to go with the shovel?
It's funny, we were looking at hard hats just recently because we realized you will not be able to go on that site without a hard hat for the next 33 months, and we'll be on there every day, and we'll be giving tours and showing fans, and we want everyone to be a part of this construction as it goes forward.
David, that last shot there, this is one of the questions I had, that last shot of the downtown skyline, is that what you'll be able to see from the ballpark when you look through left field?
That's exactly right. There'll be a glass wall in left field, and that's literally what you'll see. It's the downtown, and Miami downtown is so incredible. Do you know it's only 1.25 miles to downtown front? This is a downtown building. And so in New York City, 1.25 miles is 25 blocks. So you could easily walk 25 blocks in New York and not think about it. So one of the things we're excited about is the urban atmosphere. And we're going to have an atmosphere like Colorado. There's going to be a lot of things going on before and after the game. Restaurants, destination points of fun for people of all ages. This has been a long time coming for Marlins fans, and we're all happy.
Chris Snyder at the plate. And Nunez goes over to first and throws it by Cantu. Burns is now at second.
That's the third error tonight for the Marlins. Coughlin in left, a big one by Bonifacio at third, and now this one sets up another run for the Diamondbacks, just throwing it away. Quick move, but bad throw, and Burns is able to get to second base.
John from Royal Palm Beach, are there going to be any restaurants in the ballpark?
Yes, there will, and one of the things we want to do is reflect the great diversity that is our community. If you don't like diversity, Miami's not the place for you. So we're talking everything from Cuban coffee to stone crabs to big shrimp to hamburgers to hot dogs.
You
to
got
popcorn.
me going. You got me going.
It's going to be everything. And so much like some of the ballparks you read about where it's just the same old, movie theater food, we're going to have something for everyone, and that's pretty exciting too.
John Baker on his way out to talk to Nunez.
We even had a request, Rich, I'm sorry, to make sure that we have kosher food. I don't know if any of your...
I've got a Jewish food question here. I've got a huge Marlins fan planning on getting season tickets. For all the Jewish Marlin fans out there, is there going to be kosher food in the ballpark?
It's interesting because the request came actually from someone who's not Jewish, who just likes kosher food, shockingly, because it is good. But having said that, there will be. And there'll be food for everyone. And that's part of what we like about Miami. And
Wait a minute.
It's going to be good.
That's from Noah in Boca Raton.
Well, I didn't get that email. That's your email. I'm saying I've gotten emails. Noah from Boca, I'd say, is Jewish, but some of the emails on d.samson at marlins.com where I get about 100 suggestions a day of what people want and things that they want.
Have you taken any of those suggestions and said, you know what, that's a great idea, let's do it?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we have. One of the suggestions was what to do with underneath the roof during the day. We're having an open plaza area, and that's something that actually came from an email, that we are having the biggest plaza in the history of ballparks, and it came from someone over a year ago who had the idea of having a urban ballpark with an area for people to be, not just on game days, and that you need an open green space for that. And we then took that the extra step and turned that into what will be the biggest plaza area right there.
So it's
for
outdoors,
any
but it's under a roof.
When the roof is open, it's covered.
Yeah.
And when the roof is closed, it's not. And there's going to be space for people to walk. And what you don't see in this rendering is the ability of people to actually plant themselves there and eat and just hang out.
That's a great idea, because in some of these retractable ballparks, the roof, when it's open, just kind of sits over an area. In fact, in Seattle, it sits over train tracks, and the ball club actually had to buy
kind of in this area.
To buy the airspace from the railroad company over the train tracks.
That's a very good toy you have, Tommy. That's exactly where
right
it is.
Right in that area.
John Baker obviously knows that David Samson's in the booth and is answering emails and says, Leo, we've got another one from Don in Cutler Bay. Will there be any public transportation to the ballpark, such as Metro Rail or a bus combo like football games.
Yes. Where the Orange Bowl used to sit, they used to get 75,000 people in and out of there. As a matter of fact, getting in and out of that area can be easier because of all the different roads than even Dolphin Stadium. Landshark Stadium. I apologize.
Line drive left field. Coughlin makes the catch.
So there's a lot of different ways to get in and out. And as far as public transportation, it's right near, whether it's Jackson Memorial or also downtown, even the government center stop, it's a mile away. There will be shuttle buses, shuttle services, and it's going to be a safe area. It'll be a walking area, which is the vision of our mayor, Manny Diaz, and the mayor, Carlos Alvarez of the county. We want to combine the Little Havana area with the downtown Miami and just really improve everybody's quality of life.
Augie Ojeda's at the plate. And he takes outside. Don in Cutler Bay also adds that his 84-year-old mother watches every game on TV. And I'm sure you'll have seating for the elderly. Lots of the handicap seating and all that. Good seats for everybody?
Yes, we will. There will be plenty of good seats. No one will be able to say that, A, they can't afford a seat. That's another thing that Jeffrey Loria focused on, is the affordability. And he wants to make sure that we don't price anybody out of the market. We're trying to build a fan base and build a tradition here. In order to do that, you have to gain new fans, not alienate old fans. So we're building this team for the future, and we're literally planting seeds for trees whose shade we will never enjoy, Tommy, because we're doing something that will benefit this community long after all of us are gone. In order to do that, everyone has to have access.
I get questions, again, regarding transportation. Palm Beach County, people coming down from the north.
Well, Tommy, you know, coming down, and I come from the north as well.
Nunez flips over to first. There's 2 outs.
That at the times that these games will start, it's really only an extra 12 to 13 minutes to get down to the 836 and get into the Orange Bowl area. It's because it's going against traffic. You know that 95 North can be unbelievable from downtown Miami to Landshark Stadium. It can take forever. But going the other way, there's no traffic at all. So it's really not much a longer drive. And Tommy, how would you like to have driven to San Antonio every day? That would have been a much longer drive.
That's great, because that is my answer to a lot of friends. Better than in Oklahoma City, San Antonio, or Las Vegas.
It's not even a question. We have saved, you know, that was, again, I talk about Jeffrey because he's the inspiration for all of us here. He said we're saving baseball in South Florida. That's going to be our legacy, and that's really what we've done. And people from the north, we haven't forgotten about them. This is not just Miami's team. It's for all of South Florida. And for North Florida, we're going to attract people from Orlando and Naples and places we've never been able to attract, because who would want to make the drive thinking that the game may not be played?
Chad Tracy's at the plate. Pinch hitting in the 9 spot. Nunez misses down low. It's a big run over there at third base. The Diamondbacks up 2 in the 8th. Eric Burns is at third. Jose and Erica from Miami. Is the retractable roof only for rainy days? Will it be closed on hot and sunny days? Also, is the air conditioning going to be on all the time?
The air conditioning will be on, and the roof is to protect us against all weather, whether it's rain or heat. You are going to be very comfortable in this new ballpark. I promise you that.
Hanley makes a catch. You got time for another half inning?
Sure.
All right, David Samson, when we return, more stadium emails. Saturday, the Rays are here, and so is Oscar De Leon. Fireworks spectacular. Oscar is in concert. Evan Longoria will be at third base, we think. 7:10 start. Fans also get a Marlins clapper courtesy of Matchup Promotions. 1-877 Marlins, the number to call. Rich Waltz, Tommy Hutton, Frank Fort. David Samson is with us. Stadium emails on an email Tuesday nights. Hanley Ramirez stands in. Now Ramirez will be followed by Cantu and Baker. Tony Pena is the new pitcher. And Hanley swings and misses. Our SunTrust solid team performance of the night. Hanley's homer in the 6th.
Boy, he crushed that a long way, and you realize since 06 as shortstops, Hanley has the most runs, doubles, home runs, walks, and best slugging percentage of any shortstop in the major leagues.
Drives that ball to right field. Upton over, dives, did not make the catch. He trapped it. Hanley's aboard. The Marlins are down 2 here in the 8th.
It sounds different when he hits, doesn't it, Tommy?
It does. There are guys and there are guys, and he's one of those that when he makes contact, it just sounds better.
All right, let's watch and listen.
The only shortstop in that group since 06 that has a better batting average and a better on-base percentage is Derek Jeter. But all those other categories, there's the man.
Cantu's 2 for 3. This is a soft spot for the Diamondbacks. Their bullpen has not been good this year. Fastball from Pena misses outside. Let's sneak in a few more questions. Jesse in Miami has this list of things he'd like to see in the new ballpark. He'd like to see an usher clean his seat like they do at Camden Yards. He would like a Marlins Hall of Fame with Niner and Phalo as the first honorees.
Well, Jesse in Miami, I would also like people to clean my seat, so I think that's a very good idea. I don't think anyone likes coming into a new ballpark and having things dusty and dirty. I think that's not a good sign.
Amen.
So we're going to take very good care to make things as clean as possible, knowing that it's going to be a ballpark with over 30,000 people in it 81 times, plus other events. As far as the Marlins Hall of Fame, we're just about getting old enough. Remember, this franchise is very young, 17 years old, and that's it. So that's something that's going to come. There's a lot of players who live in South Florida. Jeff Conine is someone who works with us now and is very involved in everything we do in the community. So I'll tell you, it's a great idea, Jesse, and if you'd like to be on an advisory board, please feel free to email me and tell me you want to get involved, and we'd be happy to work with you.
He'd like a wing also for all the Hispanic players and nod to the Latin community in that Hall of Fame. Cantu's got another hit. That's 3 on the night, and a couple of hits to lead off the 8th.
Well, Pena can throw hard. He can throw mid to upper 90s, and he has a hard slider. But when he doesn't get it where he wants to, and the Marlins are a good fastball hitting ball club, you see what they can do. A well hit ball by Hanley and Cantu's third base hit.
So here is Baker. Alex in West Palm Beach. I think you said that the Marlins' new stadium is being designed by the same firm that did the Mets' new stadium. With instant replay becoming the in thing for home runs, do you design the outfield wall and the stands with that in mind, the ability to call a home run or not call a home run, or now that there's instant replay, is pressure taken off the architect?
I can give you some inside information.
Baker drives that one to left and hits it pretty well. Burns and Parra back, and it's Burns who makes the catch. Hanley tags, and he's on his way to third. Good hustle by Hanley Ramirez.
This feels like something that should be twittered, but here's the funny thing. We did not consider the instant replay at all. We did not consider Citi Field at all. What we considered is making sure that it is a pitcher's ballpark and that it has very interesting outfield fence, both dimensions and angles and things that make it fun to watch a game. And when the right field porch, right field seats will be intimate, close in, so there's not one bad seat in the ballpark. So we don't really give much thought to instant replay at all. We want to have thought to fans who are here, who spend their time and come to the ballpark, that every time they sit in a different place, they enjoy the game from a different angle.
Pena misses inside to Ugla. Big spot now for Ugla and the Fish in the bottom of the 8th, down 2. Ugla has an RBI single, and he's flied out twice. A fly ball here, at the very least, gets a run in.
One thing about our team is that no matter what happens, whether there's errors, everyone's trying to pick each other up and never give up. And this game's far from over. And I think you got 25 guys who realize whether they have 6 outs, 5 outs, or 4 outs, they're going to keep going all the way to the end.
Yeah, and to me, that's a reflection of the manager, of Freddie Gonzalez. He keeps them working the entire game.
There's a strike. And it's 1-2 to Ugla.
All of a sudden, a couple of good sliders. Those last 2 pitches from Pena.
Ryan Sanchez, Matt Lindstrom in the bullpen. Bottom 8. Marlins down 5-3 on a Josh Johnson start on a night where Johnson pitched well. 6 1/3, 3 runs, 2 earned. Pena strikes out Ugla. So down goes Dan. A big strikeout for Tony Pena. And Hermida is coming up.
This is one of those things, Rich, with A.J. Hinch, the young manager of the Diamondbacks. He's not matching up. He's going with his hard throwers, Gutierrez, last inning, Pena. So now at least Freddie has the matchup in his favor with Jeremy Hermida hitting against the right-hander.
Time called, Hermida steps out. We had a couple questions like this one. This is from Mike in Herndon, Virginia. Big fan of the Orange Bowl. Any thought of incorporating the Orange Bowl name into the stadium somehow?
Well, I think the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim have pretty much sealed the deal on compound names. So I'm not sure that that would be in the future. But we are going to recognize the fact that the Orange Bowl did used to be there, and not just by the palm trees and the great look of downtown Miami that we're going to have, but there'll be an area in the ballpark or the plaza where people can see all the great things that went on in that space before, whether it was Super Bowls, Dolphin games, or Miami Hurricane games, because you don't want to forget history at all. But at the same time, it's now going to be a baseball ballpark, and we're going to make history of our own there as well.
How long will it take for the roof to open and close? I think you said, what, 13, 14 minutes?
It's anywhere between 11 and 16 minutes, depending on the wind speed at the time.
And as Tommy and I were talking about last week, the ball club has the decision. It's much like a rain delay. The ball club has the decision whether to start the game with the roof open or closed. But once the game starts, that decision goes to the hands of the umpires?
We're going to have a weather formula that we are going to develop with professionals that will be based on heat, humidity, rain chance, prevailing winds, and we're going to factor everything in and then make a decision before game time. But with our weather, you can pretty much rest assured that the roof is going to be closed quite often.
Yeah, like once you get to mid-June and you get the summer months.
There won't be a lot of discussions with the formula in the summer months, from late May through August, that's for sure.
Hermida pops it up, and a promising inning fizzles out for the Marlins. David, thanks for visiting with us, and I know July 1st we'll be watching the webcam, and we look forward to talking to you the rest of the season about the ballpark.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, David.
in this one. He goes 6 1/3, 4 hits, 2 earned runs.
Boy, sure did. He had good fastball. His fastball 96, 97 most of the evening. Kept the walks down, only walked 2, 6 strikeouts, and had a chance to win this one, but it just didn't work out for him tonight.
Check out the new R Performance vehicles at your local Jaguar dealer or on JaguarUSA.com. Brian Sanchez, the pride of Lamar University, comes in.
Yeah, put up some nice numbers in AAA, good ERA, and he's had some time in the big leagues. He's 30 years old. Spent a little time with the Phillies in 06 and 07. Last year, some with Washington.
It's Lopez that greets him with a foul ball. The big inning for the Diamondbacks, the 7th. A leadoff home run by Mark Reynolds. Emilio Bonifacio then threw away the routine grounder from Eric Burns, and it was on. Snyder single. Pinto came in, hit a batter, gave up 2 RBI hits. Sanchez gets it. Now we check in with Frank Fort. Frank?
Thanks very much, guys. If you're wondering about the spelling of Brian Sanchez's surname with an S on the end instead of a Z, he is not Hispanic. In fact, he is the first Marlin, at least that I know of, with Native American blood. His father is part of the Quechua-Adayas Nation that's indigenous to Louisiana. His father, in fact, his father's cousin is the tribal chief of the Quechua-Adayas. So Brian does have some Native American blood in him. His father worked in the oil refineries in Texas and southeast Texas, where he's from. And he said he worked there in high school and a little bit in college during his off time, and he decided that's something he did not want to do, so he went into baseball. But Brian Sanchez, at least to my knowledge, guys, the first Marlin with the Native American bloodlines. Back to you, Rich.
Yeah, I don't think that's a... I don't think we have that in the media guide. I don't think they have a list.
Well, Frank gets all those inside stories. The other thing about Brian Sanchez, and we've seen a couple of them here, he has a good splitter. He'll use a curveball, a splitter, and his fastball's in the upper 80s.
Check swing. That's a swing. That's a strikeout. Gonna like that. Comes in and gets 2 quick outs.
And has thrown strikes.
Well, he was doing some closing down in AAA, and Sanchez talked about being able to pitch in a pressure situation and the chance to show the big club, the Marlins, what he could do in that situation. Obviously, they weren't going to bring him up to close, but it's nice to know that a guy can come in and get outs when the pressure's on.
And let me put it this way, closing a game, the pressure that you have in a AAA game is similar to pressure you have in a 7th, 8th inning situation at the major league level.
There's the guy that's been closing for the Diamondbacks, Chad Qualls. Upton takes outside. You know, we forgot to, and an emailer just reminded me, we didn't finish the ghost story in Milwaukee. Pfister Hotel is haunted. Great legend.
It is the historic section. There are 2 sections of the hotel. And yes, as far as we understood, we don't know who, but there were a couple of players, a couple of teammates that doubled up. But I would warn those teammates and also the Marlins when they travel to the Pinoy in St. Petersburg.
Great hotel.
Great hotel, but there are some historians who have those kinds of stories surrounding the Pinoy.
Well, the fun begins when teammates learn which players are concerned, because then they have a tendency to walk by the room and pound on the wall or
rattle the chain a little bit.
2-2. It's up. That one hits the home plate umpire, Tony Randazzo.
You know, we need to let Frank know this because he always likes to have the rest of and the entire story. Justin Miller, who was with the Marlins the last couple of years, had some Native American blood on his father's side.
That's right, guys. I did forget about Justin, who was more known for the body art than his heritage.
Yeah.
But that's absolutely correct.
Sanchez strikes out Upton. Marlins need a couple going to the bottom of the ninth. So 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. By Tobacco Free Florida. For more information, visit us on the web at tobaccofreeflorida.com. By SunTrust, featuring online solutions to help your business stay on solid ground. Live solid, bank solid, SunTrust. And by Largo Honda, still no sharks. 5-3 Arizona. Bottom 9, and Chad Qualls comes in, the 30-year-old closer.
Qualls, if you remember, a number of years with Houston as a very good setup man. Came over to the Diamondbacks, actually finished last year with Arizona as their closer. Hard power sinker and slider. And when he keeps the ball down, he can be very tough.
Ross, a pinch hitter, and Bonifacio. And a strike to Cody Ross, who has 2 hits. Was doubled and singled, and he seems to have come out of his slumber. He had a good series against the Dodgers.
Yeah, Cody against the Dodgers, 4 for 8 with a couple of home runs. And then 2 for 3 in this one tonight.
One. Up the middle into center field. Base hit.
And he continues to stay hot.
Boy, the Marlins had runners first and second in the 8th. Didn't score.
And those situations in a moment like this come back and make you think. Think about it. The Marlins have 12 hits now to the Diamondbacks 6. But if you think about that last inning and just think, okay, had the Marlins scored just 1 run, all of a sudden now the tying run would be on first base.
Wes Helms. You look at his season numbers at .217. But Helms as a pinch hitter is 6 for 14.
Well, Ross Glode got a pinch hit, RBI single back in the 7th inning.
Qualls out in front 0-2. Atlanta has beaten Colorado 8-1. Phillies have defeated Cincinnati 4-3. Mets and Dodgers just underway. No swing.
How about the Mets making 5 errors last night at Dodger Stadium? Plus, Ryan Church missed third base in the top of the 11th inning. What Wes Helms does when he gets 2 strikes, especially really behind in the count 1 and 2, he kind of goes into an emergency mode just to see the pitch, try to make some contact, and hopefully get a mistake pitch.
There's Ross. That was not a mistake pitch. That was a strike 3 pitch.
Well, he got fastball, got good 2-seam sinker, may have been thinking slider, and he just couldn't pull the trigger on that one.
Our Toyota trend. Won back-to-back games just twice this season. And their last game was on Saturday. Here's Bonifacio. Oh, and 1. A 5-run 7th, an inning in which the Marlins made 2 errors. The big one was Bonifacio's.
Yeah, that really set the stage, opened the door for the Diamondbacks. You know, I don't know if it happened, but it's a way that a pitcher can lose his concentration. Remember, the inning started, Reynolds hit a long home run, and then all of a sudden that error, if that's an out, you wonder how JJ pitches to Snyder, who's singled, and you wonder how that whole inning sets up.
And the frustrating thing was it wasn't a difficult play.
No, he just rushed it. I think he was fooled by Burns when, in fact, he shouldn't be, because he knows that Burns gets up that line quickly. And by rushing the throw, he made a bad throw and was charged with the error.
Bonifacio breaks his bat, and Upton squeezes it, and the Fish are down to their last out. Here comes Coghlan. Coghlan tonight is 1 for 4. Boy, this would be a tough one to lose for the Marlins. You get a good start out of Josh Johnson, especially after last night. You're up 1-0 and the game gets rained out in the 4th. Doubleheader to play tomorrow.
Well, that's what's been tough over the last few weeks. They've been losing starts, not all, because JJ won that game in Denver, but losing starts when they've gotten good outings from a Josh Johnson or a Chris Volstad, and then trying to piece the rest of the games together with a starting staff that hasn't been able to take them deep into games.
1-1 to Coghlan. Boston beat Toronto tonight 2-1. Tim Wakefield and Jonathan Papelbon slowing down the Blue Jay Express. Swing and a miss. Speaking of the Express, Dontrelle Willis gives up 1 hit over 6 1/3 innings, and Detroit beats Texas 4-0.
Yeah, that's good news for Dontrelle Willis.
Here, Coghlan trying to keep this inning alive in the 9th. Down he goes. Qualls closes, and the Diamondbacks come from behind and beat the Marlins in the first game of this series. Arizona. Mark Reynolds with a long home.